Thank you everybody for praying for us, for supporting us. Thank you everybody for just being there for one another while we were away. Thank you, Mark, for teaching last Sunday. I heard it was a beautiful service. Small but special crowd. You know, summertime, but really appreciated. And Mark, by the way, welcomed us back at the airport. It was very special. After visiting Lower Post once or twice a year since 1995, up to 2019, we actually went up every year, or sometimes twice a year, in the middle of winter. There was one year I'd never seen so much snow in my life. Seriously, the houses were disappearing. But it's hard to believe it's been 7 years. And it really felt like coming home. It really did. Since our last team visit, I think was 2019, Wade and Sonny came up with us. And then, of course, COVID came and the pandemic. But even though we haven't gone up, we've been active. We've sent Sini a couple of times, as you know. We sent her up for the burning ceremony of the former residential school, which had become the band office. And then she went up again for the dedication of the beautiful new cultural center, which we'll show you in a minute. And of course, Rome happened in the last 7 years, where Sini heard the Pope's apology on behalf of the Catholic Church in person, followed by his visit to Canada a year or two later. So we've been active. But we all flew a week ago, Thursday, July the 2nd, to Whitehorse. And Peter Chiquesta, a relative of Francis, and a residential school survivor, I think it was Lower Post, right? Yeah. Along with his brother Steve. They're both good friends of mine. But Peter met us at the airport. Such a warm welcome, along with Bernice and Betty, who became a ride for Francis, which saved our life. I'll explain in a minute. But this is Peter in front of his little house while Gord and Carol were shopping for the Lower Post supplies. It's about 5.5 hours to go to Lower Post from Whitehorse. And if you don't want to pay twice as much, pretty much, you buy it in Whitehorse. And so Peter, while Gord and Carol were shopping, invited us over. And this was very common. We were invited to pray blessing and dedication over people's homes. They wanted that. And this is this cute little housing unit that he has. It's an Indigenous housing unit. So we prayed for Peter while Gord and Carol. This is a picture of Peter's mom and his dad. We knew Alfred. He passed away a few years ago. But Peter, his mom passed when he was 3 or 4. He was very young. Residential? Yeah. Yeah. And so he never really, he only as a preschooler, he knew his mom at all. And so Fanny became his mom, who has also passed away now, his older sister. So it was pretty tender to see that picture with him and his mom. After Gord and Carol bought the groceries, we didn't have a lot of room left in the car, so we stuffed Sulfrid in the back. Being Norwegian, she was very, had a good sport about it. It was getting her out. That was a bit more of a problem. And there's the rest of us with Sulfrid there way in the back. But we had groceries, luggage. We found out that the rental vehicles were booked 6 months ago. So it was actually a miracle that we were even able to get a vehicle. So we found a 6-seater, and away we went on the 5.5 drive to Lower Post. And this is the entrance to Lower Post, the welcome sign. They have a new weather sign. Bernice and Francis welcomed us. They'd gone ahead of us, welcomed us to the community. And after a little bit of looking around for keys, we found the keys to our accommodation called the Eagle's Nest. And we were given this whole house. We were blown away by the generosity of the community. Not only was it a beautiful house, it was like a 5-star hotel, but the linens and the way they prepared it, I was shocked. I literally was shocked. the linens, the bedding, the way they'd prepared it. It was just like a hotel had been prepared for us. Yeah, that's true. That's never really got dark there while we were up there. We were just wonderfully treated. This is the kitchen where Gordon Carroll did their cooking for the team. Beautiful kitchen area. And my morning walks, this is my run keeper. So if you see that little red dot, that's where the eagle's nest is. And I would walk through the village of Lower Post, the community. And you'd see me, you see I go up to the Liard River there. It's about 3.5 Ks. So I'd walk along the Liard River. This is really close where we did a lot of baptisms through the years. We've done many, many baptisms. And these are nukshuks that were made by Bernice and some of the children, right, in the community. They're all along the river there, and some painted rocks, some scriptures we saw along the river there. And the flora was just breathtaking. Just the boreal forest that they have there was just so intoxicating. So after we kind of settled in and had our first night, we had our devotions, and we went to see the cultural center. This is the new cultural center in the background that was dedicated in place of the residential school. And the wood that they used, I didn't get a good picture inside, unfortunately. I would have loved to have got one. I got a screenshot of Carol's video. Carol's got a beautiful video she did that gives, but I just didn't have the technical know-how to set it up for you. But this gives you a little idea. The wood that was used for the new cultural center was indigenously, sustainably harvested from local forests. And they designed it themselves, this whole building. Just incredible. This is the gym that's also part of it. Beautiful glass backboards. I was drooling over it. I love basketball, so I was drooling over that. So we were setting up for our first night. See the long table? We decided to go with a long table. Can I just tell you that the table got longer and longer and longer as the event went on. So right next to the cultural center is a beautiful medical center where they're doing, Kathleen is getting a lesson from one of the indigenous people who practices traditional medicine. So they use the bark and herbs. Charlie Pete, was it balsam bark? Charlie Pete, one of my friends, uses balsam bark. It's healed him of pneumonia, and he said that when during COVID, he got COVID and he was dying, like he was literally could feel his lungs. He was getting ready to call 911. And so he took some balsam bark, and he said within half an hour he felt that thing break in his lungs. So they're really reviving the practice of traditional medicine using the land, using creation to do that. And I think they have a lot of wisdom to offer us. So they gave some to Kathleen. She brought it back. She's been a happy camper ever since. So at the office there, we bumped into people, and I can't tell you the joy of just happy reunions. 7 years, and a lot of the leaders in the community were little kids running around when we first started going. They're growing up, and Val, one of the new counselors that was voted in, Freddie Lutz, the new chief. Huh? Lisa, yes, but we also met Val, two sisters. Betty's daughter, and Freddie Lutz, one of the little guys running around, is now the deputy chief. Harlan Schilling was another one of the little kids. I baptized him, was Walter, is now the lead chief of the Holy Yard First Nation. So it was just surreal, just bumping into all these people. So one of them, Crystal Vance, Fanny's daughter, met us, and she said, well, what are you doing? And we said, we don't know. We don't know. We just showed up, and we'd love to do some meals and some gatherings, but we don't know where to meet. So we just kind of took a deep breath and said, can we use the drumming circle? Can we use the band? Can we use the cultural center, the gym? And she said, yeah, why not? So I don't know what, within minutes, she came up with this, okay? And she said, you got to go, you got to let people know. So there was our program, like it came together in 5 minutes. So this is the drumming circle where we met the first night. We didn't have a lot show up, but people came and went through the event the first night. And then the second day, Francis said, we need to get out and invite people. So we did. We started going door to door, and sure enough, as we knocked on doors, people would say, can you come in and dedicate our house and pray for us? And so this is, Kathleen will talk about this young lady, Carla, who was also one of the little kids running around when we were first going. And Gordon and Carol were given access to this beautiful kitchen in the cultural center. And I just want to say, Gordon and Carol, you guys are awesome. They took care of the meals, both for feeding us as a team, but also for the community meals. And I can't describe to you just the load it lifted, to just know that was covered and taken care of. And they're missionaries. And so what I love about missionaries is they're just ready for anything. And so when things go sideways, they go, yeah, whatever, and they just go with the flow. Some of us that are control freaks, they go, and we have panic attacks and all that. But Gordon and Carol, you were offering. And Solfrid's also a missionary. And I need to say that Solfrid was our champion fire starter. She made all the wiener sticks. That Norwegian skill she jumped into the bush and got a bunch of willows and made a bunch of wiener sticks for the first night. And you won't see a lot of pictures of Solfrid because she was taking them, all right? So thank you, Solfrid. Great team. Yeah, they shouldn't have lost. But we won't talk about that right now. All right. So this was the second night as we were preparing for, in the gym, the third night rather, getting prepared for the shared meal. There was moose meat and wild mountain goat meat and all that stuff. So it was just, that's kind of a bird's eye view. So I'm just going to invite the team members to come and share just some of your highlights and some photos. And then I'm going to invite Sini at the end just to give a little reflection, just because it's her home community. So come on up, Kathleen.
Why, that was good, Gordy.
So you can use that mic there.
Yeah. Can I have this stool?
Yeah.
Do you mind moving that stool over here? Thank you. So wonderful to be able to share with you guys and know that people from here have been up there. Jenny Chu's been up there. She came. And Joanna, I feel like you've been up there. I know you haven't, but I just loved it when Sonny came. And I just thought of everybody. So I brought my album. I can't believe it's like 31 years ago. Can you believe that? 31 years ago. So my sharing today is going to be with few precious objects. So this is a talking stick, and if you look at it, I'll pass it around after. You'll see a man's name on it. It's called Early. And he always showed up early for our team meetings years and years ago. I don't know exactly, I'm not good with time, but at least 25 years ago. He's now passed on, but he was well known in the community for being a silversmith, and he would always polish my rings for me while we were sitting around having our team meetings, our team devotions. He always wanted to join us. He was really a follower of Jesus. One day, he and Danny Martin, some of you know Danny, who's also passed away, he was on our team that year, and they went for a walk, and Early was showing Danny different things, including the band office. They went in and went down to the basement area. Previous to that, the people had asked me, because I was looking for a place to have children's meetings, because that's kind of what my heart was leading me to for many years, and they called me a crow mother as a result. I don't know whether that's totally complimentary, but I think it is, because we have some crows outside our door right now, and as soon as I walk out, I think I don't know if it's nesting time, but today even walking up, they're just squawking away and stay away. Anyway, it's kind of like the mother bear protecting the young. So he went down in, anyway, I was going to tell you that I just said I cannot go into that basement. I did not know that that's where the children were abused. I said I cannot go down there. I will go outside in the playground and battle the mosquitoes. I'm not going into that area there, because at the time, the school was not available. So But then I found out that that basement area was a horrible place. But Early Ray found this eagle feather in the basement area, and he made this talking stick and gave it as a special gift for me. It's been a precious gift to me, but I've only really used it in my talking circles with children. But this trip, I felt like God really exhorted me, because we didn't have a lot of the kids. A lot of the kids were maybe at camps. I'm determined that I have to go up, not in just the summertime, because many of the kids are not there in the summer because of school. But I felt like, I think you can see, I'm talking a little bit and just presenting Early Ray and his stick to the people. Then I felt the Lord just inspired me to ask if there's anybody in the gathering that would like the talking stick. As you know, this is thousands of years of protocol that Indigenous people have developed for sharing without interruption. So whoever has the stick shares and nobody interrupts. I'm actually determined now to take it to our family. Annalise is starting to laugh, and Josh, but I think I need to take it for our family holiday in a week in the Soyuz. But I have used it at National Vineyard meetings, but I have never used it with the adults of Lower Post. And as soon as I presented it, within minutes, we had some of the elders, and I think Sulfrid and Carol are going to share about the impact of the elders sharing on our gathering with the talking stick. So we really need the talking stick. I need the talking stick. And you need the talking stick, and we need to really listen. But I just share this in honor of Early Ray and thank him for his gift. And I think it's going to go on and on and on as I have a chance and get bold enough to present it in more circles of sharing. The other thing, Gordy's already mentioned balsam bark. I was just blown away about how the elders are teaching now herbs, and Bernice took us on the land. That's the first time Bernice is actually, I met her on the land, pulling weeds and different things, but this is the first time since we've been up there. She purposely took us on a trip, and there's a side road, and we go there, and there's a beautiful little cabin, and that's where they go and harvest the berries. And Francis has been there many times. We all went there, and it was so moving that Bernice is now just really coming alive. Before she was so quiet, but now she's really talking, and she's actually, I can't even tell you what some of the things that she did. She gave me a big whack in the back and called me Sister Mary Francis. Oh my gosh, only Francis and I would get that joke. But okay, the last thing I'm going to share is, this is a little basket that was given to me by Francis. And inside are rocks from the ground of the burned down residential school. And I just felt like I was with Sulfrid, we were walking around, and all of a sudden I felt like drawn to this one particular area. And I said, this area looks different. And I said, I'm going to gather some rocks. Those of you that know me, you know that I like rocks. Like Shannon, I have a similar heart as you. So I gathered, there's about 16 rocks, and then I found out that the rocks from the ground where the residential school, the old residential school, had burned down. And that really hit and impacted me. So I gathered them, and I talked to Francis about it, and she said, well, they could be memorial stones. So in honor of all the children and the residential school survivors, I painted them orange because of the orange shirt, Every Child Matters. And I'm believing that somehow God will take these stones in the future. I'll be able to share them with even children that are 3 to 5 year old. They'll understand this kind of idea. And that's my sharing, really. I'm just so, I could go on and on. I feel like I need to go back for longer. I need to, actually, like Francis has encouraged us to do, go back when the people themselves are gathering for their big gatherings and join them. So I want to thank Francis again for walking with us in this journey.
Amen. Thank you, Catherine. Carol.
adjustment. There, is that okay? Is that working? Okay. So first of all, I just wanted to say that I'm so thankful for the opportunity to go. Sorry.
It's okay.
And thankful to everyone's support and to Sini for, doing all the arrangements for this. Sorry. I was a little more composed earlier, but yeah, through this song that kind of got me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was amazed by the beauty of the place. Like I've never had a desire to, go up north. I thought, oh, it's cold, too cold. I don't want to go there. But it was just amazing. The expansive sky was just, well, there you go, you can see it. It's like, wow, that is, you can see it all. We're not surrounded by all the skyscrapers and things there. So it really inspired me, I think, just to stop and, take a deep breath and and it was so quiet there too, so peaceful. So just to,
Yeah.
Be still
Yeah.
and drink it all in, So that was that was just beautiful. And on the last night we had our potluck dinner, and Kathleen brought out her talking stick, and one of the women that spoke was Agnes. That's her in the middle there. And she shared her story, residential school survivor. And, she shared some of what she went through, and she talked about how, she was going down the wrong path, and she realized she needed to make a change, and she did. And she talked about waking up every morning and being so thankful for another day. And that really impacted me because, I was realizing that last 6 years for us have been pretty tough. We've lost a lot of people, and, Cord with the kidney transplant, there was the dialysis, even just learning about him needing a new kidney and all of that. But my nature and my way of coping is, well, you put your head down and you just go, right? You just do what you need to do. And, you can't control all these things, so you control what you can. So I have my little list of things to do. I update it every week. I have my bigger list of things to do. I mean, it's in my bag right at the moment. I've got a little book I carry, and I carry it everywhere with me, in case I forget something, so I got to write it down. And when you don't, I guess, acknowledge how tough things have been, on the other hand, you also don't see the joy and the beauty that is there. So when her sharing that just kind of broke something in me.
Wow.
In that, it has been tough, but there's been so much good too. And so combining the beauty of that place and that ability to just stop, take a breath, see what's there, see the beauty of it is just, I can feel myself beginning to stop and recognize and appreciate and reflect on all of the good that has happened as well. And how tough it's been.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of my process. That's what Lower Post has done to me. I'm not sure if I'm totally thankful for that or not, but it's okay. Yeah, that's me. And that's how it has affected me.
Thank you, Carol. Beautiful. Sofred.
this good? Yes. Before I left Norway, just about soon it will be 3.5 years, I had a thought that I might have to do with the First Nations of Canada. It was like a desire or something starting to wake up in me. And in Norway, we also have a First Nation, like in Canada.
Yeah.
They're living far up north and some in the middle. And they have a similar way of living, reindeer and living on the land. And they have also a similar history with being trying to be assimilated and being in the schools. So that was also a connection, from my Norwegian background. And when we moved, it was last year, I moved down south to South Vancouver.
Kerrisdale.
Yeah, close to Kerrisdale. And then Sini was my neighbor.
Yeah.
So we kept driving together every Sunday for nearly 2 years. And she was telling me about Lower Post and her people and her family. And it's like this little baby inside of me growing and wanting to meet these people and feeling, wow, Lord, this is something that you are putting in my heart. So that was a gift. I felt that wasn't just like, it was a part of God's plan. So once I came up there, 2 hours, 2.5 hour flight to Yellow
Yep.
White Horse. It's all these strange names. Yellow, White Horse. There was these beautiful mountains and rivers, and it reminded me so much about Norway. The plains, the mountains, the beauty, the cleanness of nature. And I felt like home. And I'm also, I've been living in the northern part of Norway, and the climate is a little like what it was up there. So I felt, wow, Lord, this is great. And there's no sound, no city sound. I love it. That was what I was longing for. I'm not a city person, growing up in a small place. So I need to also say a little about these elders. You see 4 of these beautiful elders, I like that word. And what made a great impact on me when we came up to Lower Post was meeting these beautiful ladies. You see Bernice, the one in the orange t-shirt, who's Frances' sister. Just meeting her and her brother that we also met, he called her the Mother Teresa of Lower Post. Yeah. And that was true. She was like doing things without saying it and just trying to get people here and there and come back to Lower Post and get a new life and fixing things for them. So, and also listening to this lady that's standing up, just pouring out her heart and saying, I've been sober for over 40 years now. I was in jail. I've been doing things that I'm not proud of, but the Lord has forgiven me. He has changed my life. And there was this young girl sitting there listening to her, and she was like just saying to them, just she said, use the expression, choose the red road of soberness. Do not go into drugs or alcohol. It won't give you what you are longing for. Choose the sober way and choose Jesus. So that was such a testimony. And also, I told Kathleen that, we as white Westerner people, we think, oh, we've got it all. We know what to do and how to do it. But then when I came and met these people, I really felt like the Lord has, in a way, put a treasure in my heart that I see, wow, these people, they have something that we don't have. We've lost a lot of the contact with the land and how to live in contact with the nature and the beauty. And before I left for Lower Post, I was praying because I didn't know these people, but I wrote down a prayer because I also have a heart for worship, and I felt like, oh Lord, I want to share what I have when I get up there, and I want you to give me the opportunity to give what I have to give them. And
That's not the song you
Yeah, that's okay. So let me see, I was just praying that the Lord would just use these people and set them free to love and serve the Lord with what they have got in the way God wants them to serve Him. And that was, in a way, what I felt that we were a part of, just seeing these elder people opening up their heart and telling their stories. And one of the other men, he had been living at East Hastings Street for 20
Charlie.
years. Charlie, the one in the checked
on the right.
blue shirt.
Yeah.
I understood that he's been living 20 years on East Hastings Street. And as we were praying for people, because lots of people ask for prayer, because that was what we wrote on that paper, hot dogs, chai, coffee, and we will have intercession every night. So people, they lined up and they waited for a long time to be prayed for. And then Gordy asked people, as he was coming up, one of the last ones, do you want to join the prayer? And he put his hand on the person we were praying for. And it was so beautiful to just, as a community, do this together and see how the young ones and the old ones and the middle-aged, we're just standing together like a family. And that was a treasure for me to be a part of.
Thank you. So good. Gord? So this was us sitting together in our Eagle's Nest kitchen, and this was Fanny's granddaughter. That's her daughter, Crystal, and Kinsey and Ava. There's a whole fashion line of Casca fashion, and this girl has modeled in New York and Milan on the left. So they were the ones that elder was talking to directly, because there's such a pull, right? We see these waves of healing and blessing, and then all of a sudden just waves of addiction hit. And it's like generational. We have to keep coming back. And Charlie Pete, the one that Sulphur just referred to, he's been parenting his grandkids because the kids are getting healing, right? My dream, by the way, is to have Charlie come and share with us. Come on, Gord. Our cook. Woo!
Good afternoon. I'm opposites attract. I don't take notes or even know what's going on most of the time, so I can experience it directly. So I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about because I wasn't sure what everyone else was going to talk about. But a couple of things. One was how you get more by being silent. I'm a kind of chatty person, and so it was quite not a challenge, but it was really interesting to sort of just be quiet and then hear what people had to say and be blown away by it. So I know the first day we were there, Sine's brother took us aside to introduce us to, he's the chief. I say chief because they're always the chief, right? Yeah. And it was interesting. One of the things he said that kind of drummed through me was, he was talking about all the horrors that happened. He said, how could humans do that to other humans? And I was kind of like, holy Shazam. Yeah, how did we do that kind of stuff? Mm-hmm. And then I noticed when I go on Facebook, it's pretty easy to see how we did that. We get triggered and we don't look at people as people because we haven't listened in silence to see what their story is. And we cut things up into black and white instead of realizing we live in a world of swirling gray all over the place. And given all the horrible things that happened, I think one of the stories that drilled into me the most was we were talking to Pete, I think, on the second time.
Yeah.
And he wanted prayer because he says something that's been really, really bothering him. Now, I understand he went to residential school. He experienced all that shit that happened there. Addictions, all that kind of stuff. He says, the thing I really regret is I think I might have blinded a guy, in my anger, when I was in my angry phase from the hurt that happened. And it totally shook me because I thought, man, if it was me, I'd be like, good for that mother bleeper for, like, I finally got back at one of those guys that did this to me. Not, I really regret that deeply. And It kind of blew me away because, man, that's probably more than I could do right at this moment. If I'd had that happen to me, I'd still be wanting to burn down some more stuff. And I thought that was very telling on the graciousness that we experience day in, day out. That these people said, like, I used to hate white people, and then I realized I had to heal myself to get rid of that hate, and also the self-hatred that led to, like, addictions and stuff.
Yeah.
And over and over again, just being welcomed in there, and I go, man, I don't think I'd welcome people that that did this to me. Killed members of my family, dragged kids away from their parents, abused them, hated them. So I was overwhelmed by the grace that these people showed us, and the grace that's kind of evident in their lives. Like they could say, the biggest problem I have is, how do I forgive myself for hurting this person in my anger? It's like, head blown. Yeah, anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I shared one night about reconciliation and how we apologized to that community back in 1995 for the sins of the residential school on behalf of white people and behalf of the church. And I shared with them that it was 18 years later that the government of Canada did the same thing, on a national scale. So it was like there's some seeds that were planted, but I think it was Agnes or Rose got up and said, you have to also be reconciled with yourself. And that was so powerful. You have to forgive yourself. You have to love yourself. Wasini, I just saw a big smile on you the whole time. You looked really happy. It looked like God's blessing and favor was on our time, and it was God's timing. But come and give us a reflection on, and I got some of your pictures you asked for, so it's welcome. Sini, yeah.
Hi, Madu, everyone. In Kaska language, we say Sogasinna. Thank you. So it was really an honor to go back home to be with my people. And I was welcomed when people came and saw me. But most of all, I was so happy when they saw Gordy and Kathleen and the people that came from Vancouver. The people were blessed. And they said, the vineyard has to come back. We need prayer. So I encourage, Gordy and Kathleen to think about it. They said, we need them more than one visit. So I said, I will make sure they hear the message. So my people surprised me, I'm going to tell you. Every time I go home, they come out of their houses, they knock on my sister's door because they heard that I've come back home. My pet name is China in my village. So when people hear Francis Carlick came home, they all call me China. That was my childhood pet name. My indigenous name, as you know, is Sini. My grandfather named me, only me, no one else like me. He picked the perfect name. So yeah, I went to residential school with a lot of the people in my community and Watson Lake, actually all of the Yukon and northern BC, Fort Nelson, Prophet River, that area. And we all grew up together in that militarily run system and saw each other being abused publicly daily. And so, when you go back, the stories are there because we remember them. And it's so good to be with my people, to hear about healing and what they have come through, because I have prayed long and hard for my people. And it started way back in the 70s and 80s, when I used to go home and visit my family in Lower Post. I would walk the dusty roads searching for answers because I knew something had stumped us. And it was all the abuses that we lived through. And the fact that my mom's brother is buried in the Jack Residential School, we haven't been able to move his body home to be with the family. He should be buried by my grandfather in the Watson Lake Cemetery instead of being all alone on this residential school grounds. And I was hoping to do it before my mom passed away, but it didn't happen. So I believe God has a purpose for everything, and that Lower Post has to have a memorial for the residential school survivors. Yeah. And Gordy and Kathleen started the seeds to be planted when they donated money from the church for that. So I'm going to plug in the information back to Ann Madja, who's part of our healing committee, and all the women, because we prayed so hard for this election that happened, because there was so much corruption in our territory, in Watson Lake, the bigger community where the Casca people reside. And they were so happy when I was able to encourage them and tell them that the church had been praying for them for quite some time so that they could get good leadership. So our deputy chief from Lower Post is now the leader of the Liard First Nations, which is over, I believe, 3,000 people. So he's leading a larger band because he was faithful with the small community of Lower Post, and God has expanded his territory now. So we're so hopeful. And I want to share the fact that I've been praying for the Caesar family, which is Agnes and her older sister Rose. And when we have Casca gatherings, Rose is the one they call to come and pray. And she prays in our Casca language. And when I was home for the gathering, people encouraged me to go, and Rose asked me to come and stand with her. So I stood behind her as she prayed. And I finished the prayer silently in Jesus' name, because I didn't go home to preach. I didn't want to do that, but I wanted to be there as a witness. And what is so beautiful is they believe in Jesus, and they believe in healing. Yeah. And they came to our supper and were able to share some powerful words. Yeah. Yeah. And Gordy and Kathleen were just blown away by the fact that I told them that, we've been praying for them. And Agnes just stood on the borderline. I knew she had healing, but she didn't cross the threshold and publicly state she was a believer until we heard her speak in Lower Post. And I just said, this is an answer to prayer. I have to let my cousin Charlie Carlick know, because he prayed for them too. And Agnes was the one that resisted. So the fact that she came to Lower Post and we were able to pray for her and her partner Charlie Dixon is a miracle. God showed us a miracle, because she came and publicly talked about her healing and the abuses that happened to her when she was a child. Her back was broken in residential school. They found out years later. Wow. And she's been in a lot of pain and everything like that. But they came for prayer, and we were able to lay hands on them and encourage them. And I just saw her the day before I left, and she was beaming. She came over to my sister and I in Watson Lake, and she just had a glow on her. So I was blessed every which way. Just to be home, just to be with my family. The first day my brother came and sat with me and talked to me, but I didn't know he had already been meeting with Gordy and Kathleen and the people from church. And I was just, oh my goodness, that's an answer to prayer, because my brother was the first believer in Lower Post, but he's like backslid. So I've been lifting him in prayer, wanting him to come back to that place, but he said he wants to hear from God himself. Yeah. And so I don't preach or anything. All I do is show my love. Yeah. And I love my sister to pieces, even though she can be a pest, like younger sisters. So she called me Sister Mary Frances. So That's actually a joke between us, you know, about the nuns and stuff. So, yeah, she always gets me with her little digs, but she's my sister, so what can I say?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Lower Post was just a blessing. And to have time with my brother and my sister. This lady came in at the same time as I was visiting my brother, and so I got her to take the picture, but unfortunately I didn't realize the curtains were open, so my picture's not the best there. And I was like, oh, darn, I missed my chance there, but you know, that just gives you an idea. I have a childhood picture of the three of us that I use in my story a lot.
Yeah.
So this is an answer to prayer. Thanks to my daughter, she encouraged me to get it taken. And that was the circle, and that was where I brought the vineyard the very first year in 1995.
Yeah.
There was no circle there, it was just grass when we came. And that's where we had our first church with the vineyard in Lower Post. And many people came out when we had the first church in that year, and really encouraged us, and tons of kids were running around. Yeah. And you know, just to come back to that place, and that old residential school is not there anymore, and that was where we gathered when they were tearing it down. And the shout that came from our people, wow. The tears that people cried, and the jumping for joy when they knocked a portion of that building down that we got to witness. And then when I came back a couple of years later, we burnt a piece of that old band office in the fire. And I burnt my residential school number that time. So I'm grateful for everything that God brought and transpired since the first time the vineyard went up there in 1995. To be obedient, to pray for a group of people that they didn't even know. And God brought, you know, many of the people that have passed on now. We brought Jesus there, just to remind them how much God loved them. And the vineyard music that they played, with the guitars and all of that, that's what I wanted my people to hear. That we can worship God in any way as long as it's good. And our people know how to worship God. They just forgot after the residential school abuses and the way they were treated. Yeah. But I believe that every time the vineyard comes, the people are excited to hear about it, and they're, you know, happy that they've come back to the community. I was able, after Gordy and all of them left, I went to the band office on the last day that I was home, and I got to encourage the new deputy chief, Fred Lutz Jr., and I told him that our church has really prayed for good leadership. And he made some encouraging words to me that he intends to keep community and families at the forefront. And I got to pray in the band office. I was invited to pray there. Yay. So I was able to raise my hand to God and give him thanks and praise for the beauty of our land and for the fact that, you know, the vineyard came back to encourage them. And it was just such a special time. And I just want to say I had one laugh. Well, I had many, but when the two Charlies were sitting together, you know, we were eating, and after we finished eating, they wanted, you know, people just to share from their heart, and Kathleen had passed out her talking stick, and they came to Charlie Pete, the elder, and he said, "Oh no, I don't want to talk. You'll be here all day, all night," he said. He has a powerful story, but he chose not to share it at that time. Yeah. But that was pretty, I thought that was so funny. I had a good laugh. That's so true. Yeah, I was glad to see the young people that came out. Yeah. Some of them, their parents are struggling with addictions, and they showed up and came just to eat. Yeah. Just the fact that they came, you know, to be with community. So all in all, I was sad to leave, but I'm so blessed because we encouraged our people. And when I went along the river, I saw Kathleen's stone that she painted. And I told her, like, we have to call them memorial stones because, she took that stone from the residential school grounds. And I was so happy to see where she put it along the riverbank because my sister, paints rocks as a way for a healing outlet. And I painted scripture and I added them to that. And yeah, it's a blessing. So I'm going to encourage Anne and our leadership about the memorial stones because they, were talking about what should we do. And we saw like many pictures of what they've done in other communities where there was residential schools. And some of them have the most beautiful, memorials raised up for their residential school area. So Lower Post, I believe, has to have memorial stones. I'm really going to encourage them to think about that. So thank you again, Soga Sinla, for listening.
Thank you, Sini. Beautiful. So, again, thank you, church, for just being so supportive. We'd accrued a bit of missions funds for a number of years, and so we were able to draw from that. Thank you to those of you who also financially contributed specifically. Our team members, of course, contributed towards the trip. We wanted to bless and send Sini up just to be home, and we would have done that anyway, whether we'd have gone or not, but it was just good to go with you this time. So special.